one person I will say his name's Moe Sargi because I don't like him. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
And he was a major jerk to me, so I don't care to say it. He posted a video where he forgot to edit out someone that was there supposed to slam a door. And then he takes the video down, re-released it, and said someone hacked his channel. Obviously, full of crap. And it's like one guy I had filmed with, and he's ridiculous. And I regret filming with him. I'll call him. ImJayStation is his channel.
Yeah.
To me, his videos are obvious. It's not like some of these people who are like taking fishing line or bringing somebody with them.
Hey guys, welcome to
JayStation
Exploration. Guys, we got a fantastic podcast with our guest podcaster, John, from Exploration Unknown. Glad to have him.
Glad to be here.
Just want to give him his flowers real quick. One of the OGs of the scene, especially when it comes to abandoned paranormal type stuff. He's a veteran in the game.
Right.
He's been around for years. He's seen a lot. He's experienced a lot. We're honored to have you on, John. And we appreciate you coming out.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, John's from Tennessee.
Keep the mic
He's
up.
in North Carolina.
Yeah, so we met John maybe 4 years ago, I want to say.
I'd say 4.
We had been watching his videos and just came across him, and I was like, we would love to have him on. We have some cool spots to come record. He came down. We shot it. It ended up being a great video as far as
right.
It was needle. It was just a very entertaining and great video. And really,
River Arts District.
We've been trying to meet up with him since. We had a lot of things happen in COVID, and we had the hurricane here. So we had this hurricane happen back in October here, and a lot of these places that we started out filming were really kind of locked up. It was hard to get in without really breaking in and doing that. And we don't do that kind of stuff.
No B&Es.
When this hurricane happened, it kind of flooded this whole area, and now all these places are wide open, which is wide open. Just got done filming. Do we have any fresh reactions to what we just witnessed today?
It was incredible. I mean, it's sad, and it's neat to see the abandoned, but just the sheer loss and the amount of damage done by the water was
devastation is what we've been saying throughout the exploration.
Oh yeah,
complete devastation.
And all the vintage stores, the antique stores, the restaurants, just wiped out, and all these people's livelihoods just gone.
Yeah,
it was incredible and sad at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's what I said kind of in the outro. I was like, as awesome as this is for us to record and be able to get in these places and film, which is what we love to do, it's like an explorer's dream. It also has that sombering effect of like, wow, this is people's businesses that have lost, and you see all the loss and all the damage. And so it's kind of like a catch-22. But that video is going to be coming out probably before this podcast. I would think I'm probably going to get to editing that. So guys, be on the lookout for that. Like that video. And like I said, kind of to get into it with you, John, since you're our guest. What kind of got you into exploring, and how did you really get started with your explorations?
Well, I had kind of been exploring my whole life.
Right.
Where I grew up, little community called Sharps Chapel, Tennessee, little town, and close to my house was an old abandoned lead mine. And from back in the 1800s. And during the summer, the lake would flood it. So during the winter, I could go explore, and there were these massive barges. They'd haul the slate and the ore on down the river before they put the lake in. So that kind of started it, and then throughout high school, living near Knoxville, at that time Knoxville was not thriving. So it was.
Now it is, guys.
Oh, it is now, but then it was kind of a ghost town in some ways. A lot of abandoned buildings downtown. So me and friends would go and explore and check it out. And I've always been fascinated with both abandoned and the paranormal, experiences throughout my life and stuff of that nature. So it started at a young age.
Right. So when did you start to catch traction? How long did it take? Because a lot of people, when they start YouTube channels, they post for about a month or 2 months, and then it doesn't really do what they want to, and they kind of give up. How long did it take for you to start gaining traction until you really was like, okay, I can, do something with this?
Honestly, I was kind of fortunate. It didn't take me very long at all. I remember my first video. I filmed it in August of 2016. So it's been almost 9 years. I was just sitting on my iPad in the house. We had just moved into a new home, bought it. And I was looking around the area on Google Earth, as an explorer does, and looking for things in the woods.
Google Earth is your friend.
Oh, it's your friend.
It's the best.
So I was on there looking, and I saw this old house about a quarter mile from mine, just off in the woods. And I'm like, interesting. And I saw an old road that went to it. And then, so I walked and finally found it. And it was an old abandoned house, you know, nothing crazy, nothing fancy. And I had no intention whatsoever of filming it.
Right.
Wow.
But I had been watching a channel called Adam the Woo. I don't know if you guys
Adam
remember
the Woo,
him.
yeah.
Yes, we do.
So probably about 2010, 2013, somewhere in that area, not 13, but 2011 probably. I had found his channel because he filmed some stuff in the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee and watched him ever since.
Right.
So I said, well, I'm going to do my best Adam the Woo and just film this because I want to show my wife,
Right.
you know, this cool house I found.
Yeah.
And so I filmed it, walked around talking, and when I got home, I showed her, she goes, you should post that on YouTube.
Yep.
I was like, really? And little known fact, she actually created content before I did.
Wow.
She did thrifting hauls.
Gotcha.
She didn't do it very long, but she had a little bit of a following, and it wasn't for her. She didn't want to do content. She didn't want to be on YouTube like that. So she quit doing it, but she encouraged me to post it, and I did.
Wow.
Got a few views, maybe 20. Got a couple comments, which, you get those first comments, it's kind of addicting.
Yeah.
So it kind of created a monster. So that first couple weeks, everywhere I would be I worked remotely. I was a technician at ADT.
Okay.
Installing alarm systems. So any town I was in close by, I would Google what's abandoned there.
Nice.
And of course, I would find either Carpetbagger or an Adam the Woo video, and then I'd go find that place and I'd film me a little video of it. And so it was about my 5th video I filmed, and it was a place called the Whirlwind Mansion. And it's if you may not know, there was a corrupt politician in Tennessee, Jake Butcher. Yep. And it was his abandoned mansion. It had been abandoned since the 80s.
Wow.
Pristine condition. So I drove up there, and I've been fascinated with that place for quite a while.
Didn't you go with someone?
Not the first time.
Okay.
I was by myself the very first time.
Wow.
So I go in and I walk in. Well, I didn't think I was going to get inside. But side door standing wide open.
Wow.
You know how that's the rule of chance there. If the door's open,
Yep.
there are no signs that say don't enter. I went in, and I got to the upstairs portion, and I thought I heard somebody. Excuse me. And it spooked me a little bit, and I'm like, I'm by myself.
I saw that video.
I have my company vehicle, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And then the next day, this is what you're thinking of, I filmed a second video with my brother-in-law.
I think I saw
I was like, you want to go with me? I just want some backup.
Yeah.
But that video, I had reached... About the time I filmed that, I had reached 100 subscribers,
That's
which I
astonishing.
thought, my wife told me even, and I didn't expect, she goes, you may eventually get 300 to 500 subscribers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when I hit 100 in like my first month, I'm like, heck yeah, man, this is cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
People were talking to me and engagement. It's fun. And I'll never forget, it's about 2 days later after I posted that first Whirlwind video, we went on a cruise. So I had gotten a few hundred views on it. I was like, heck yeah, this is the best video I've released so far. This is cool.
Yeah.
Went on vacation. Of course, you go on a cruise ship, you don't have phone service. You don't have any connection to the internet unless you pay an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
And I go on trips to disconnect. So I'll never forget, it was a 5-day cruise. The day we got in port, I turned my phone on, and that was the day I had to turn notifications from YouTube off because it had hit like 40,000 views while I was gone.
Wow.
And
That's insane.
it's just, my phone wouldn't stop. Like my phone glitching out, notifications. I'm like, what is going on here? And then I saw the views, and back then you didn't have to go through the process of being monetized. You have to have 1,000 subscribers, so many watch hours now. Back then you could day one apply for it and get approved.
Yeah.
So I remember in my first month, my first little number tally popped up of 9 cents. And I'm like, I can't believe I've made any amount of money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just walking around doing something I do anyway. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
But from that point on, it kind of took off, and it had its peaks and spikes. And then, it took me about 2 years, a little less than 2 years to hit 100,000 subscribers.
Nice.
And then, I'm at almost 160 now, I think. So,
Yeah.
but I've spent the last 4 years not really doing a lot.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Right.
man.
But it's more than that. It's just doing it was fun for me, and the people
yeah.
I've met
Yeah.
has been the best
Right,
experience.
exactly. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so kind of like when we started out as well, it was that first rush. You post the first video, you keep checking it, keep checking it. And you got this guy in the middle here, E, just saying like, oh, it's,
10 views.
Yeah, 10 views.
I was being pessimistic.
He was very pessimistic about it. And our first video actually got 700 views in the first week. And we're like,
Hey,
and
that's-
it kind of hung there. But
No,
we
no
already,
problem.
when we started off with that first video, we already had hope that we could do something with this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we haven't been completely consistent to the point where we need to, but
That's
even
for sure.
then, we've had this video. We did the Toys R Us video,
Toys
Yeah.
R Us.
and I
Yeah.
had an idea because of it being Toys R Us that people would care
Yeah.
enough about it, and I posted it. I had like a few thousand, and then randomly it just started spiking. I'm like, this thing's at 20K,
Every day.
and then it
keeps
just
on
kept
going up.
growing and
Yeah.
growing and growing to the point now it's at
500.
it's approaching 600K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
awesome. Dude,
have
I'm
you-
so happy.
Yeah, have you hit a million yet? Because that's that number that we're like really.
I've
hunting.
got 3 or 4 videos that surpassed 1 million.
Wow.
My best one is 2.5 million.
Yeah,
Wow.
Going on 3. I haven't looked at it in a while.
yeah,
The first video that really, really took off for me was a little ghost town called Elkmont. And a guy had went there,
Oh, yeah.
and I want to say 2010. His name was Jordan Lyles.
Okay.
And he filmed it and uploaded a video. And I remember, like, the media took hold of that.
Yeah.
It said, hiker discovers ghost town.
Mm.
Well, all of us from there
Oh, wow.
always have known it's there. Anyone who's ever visited that area always has known. I've explored that town since I was a kid. So I was like, this hiker didn't discover a town,
yeah,
I kind of hated on it at first. But then, now that I've been doing this and seeing how outside media kind of promotes things, he actually reached out and said, hey, I just filmed it. And then when I actually watched his video, like people should,
yeah.
I realized he wasn't presenting it that way at all.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
might have seen it, that
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
But his went viral.
Mhm.
And no one else had really, I think people may have filmed it, but no one else had a big video. That was the first big video I released.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was within a couple months it had hit 1 million views.
That's amazing.
And it was one of the crappiest videos I've ever filmed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no lighting. I was on an old Nikon something 2. It's a photograph camera, not even made. It had the recording function.
Right.
Wow.
And if you go back and watch that video, it's garbage. You can't see anything.
Oh, wow.
And I got and I think the hate engagement of it, where people were like, "This is stupid. This is,"
Yeah.
actually drove it.
Yeah.
Which some of my
Oh,
most
wow.
successful videos has been because of some, unfortunately, negative engagement.
Yeah.
And for example, I did a paranormal video in a cabin. It's called the John Ogle Cabin.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the Boring Fork Motor Trail. At that time, I had the Whirlwind Mansion, and there was this church in Kentucky that had been heavily vandalized after my videos went big.
Oh man.
So I started being paranoid of people following me around, vandalizing these places.
Yeah.
So I completely made up a different story about this cabin.
Mm.
Not trying not to give it away. I knew some people would know where it was and what it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
but to not give it away to these people who are following me around, tagging things
Exactly.
and vandalizing it. But the Smoky Mountain Hiking Club on Facebook didn't agree with that and got really offended that I didn't tell the true story of it. They didn't get
Oh.
offended that I did a paranormal video there because a lot of people know that place has got activity.
Right.
But boy, did they make that video get a lot of views
Yeah.
with all their comments.
Oh.
And so I had to thank them because I
Negative
actually,
comments.
because of the watch time and the comments engagement on that one, it didn't get, I think I want to say it got 500,000 views or so, but I probably made as much money on it as I did the ones with millions of views because of how much
Wow.
watch time and engagement I had on it.
Amazing.
So I had to kind of thank them for the hate.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
The negative.
That's
comments.
something I've told people that do this that constantly, there's certain people you need to block.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's people who take it too far.
Yeah.
But don't just block every negative comment
No.
because those help you. Whether
Yeah.
you know it or not, they help you
They do.
make more money.
Yeah.
So leave them.
Yeah.
And then your followers who love you they'll defend you. You don't
Yeah.
even have to defend yourself.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I've had one of the hardest things doing this was to learn to not get so wrapped up in constructive or negative comments.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the hardest thing, and I take things personal. So
Right.
I want people to like me. Obviously, I'm doing this because I like attention. I want people to like me. So you naturally want to defend yourself, but I had to kind of detach from the comment section a little bit for that purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to touch on that with the tagging and graffiti. Have you ever, because we have had our interactions, not anything serious, but have you had any interactions with police when you're going in these places, abandoned or trespassing, that kind of stuff, and been caught? And have you ever dealt with like any sort of, problems with that?
Not as much as you might think. I try to be very careful, and there's a lot of places I've not went into just because if I'm with somebody, like if I'm with you guys or something, I kind of follow your lead and I'll do whatever. But especially if I'm by myself, if I see a bunch of signs or if I think they might be people around, I kind of back off of it.
Yeah.
I have had a couple moments where I've had a run-in with people. Now I think I had a run-in with a guy with you guys once at an old school, and he was kind of hateful.
Yep. I remember that. Yeah.
And I'm in an area that I don't know, and in East Tennessee, and it's probably like this here in North Carolina. There's certain areas, if you're not from there, you kind of need to be careful who you argue with. If you don't know nobody, you might not belong.
Right.
So I didn't really engage back, but he had some hateful things to say, and I was just kind of like, hey man, let's diffuse this situation. But fortunately, the guy who owned the building or someone who's related to him came over and talked to him, and the guy left. So I've had once where I've had interaction with cops, but they were cool once they found out what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, yeah, you probably don't need to.
That's what we found out, that cops are real cool when you tell them the truth.
Yeah. Just be
listen.
honest. Like, this is what I'm doing. And most of the time they're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Or,
Right.
it might be like, well, be careful.
Yeah.
You're here at your own risk. It depends on the situation
Right.
and
True.
who owns it
Right.
and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I've not had a ton. I've had encounters with homeless people a time or two. Never anything negative. So
Yeah, that was the next question I was going to ask: is homeless people and squatters. Have you ever been in any
That's more
situation?
prevalent now.
yeah, I think the most nervous I ever was. There's a place in Virginia called is the Desjardins Lunatic. It's a children's asylum, insane asylum. Really, it's kind of one of those holy grail places.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
but there's a lot of people who live there too.
Oh wow.
If you know what I mean.
Right.
So the last time I went with a couple that I'm friends with. Shout out Mads Entertainment. They wanted to go. I had been, and so I said, "Let's go." And there was a guy on the porch of it, like when you enter, and my buddy Jeremiah gave him a $20 bill, which I was kind of like, I don't know if you should just pull out money because it might give somebody, especially if they're under influence, the wrong impression. Like, there's more money.
Definitely,
Right.
definitely.
So it made me a little nervous at that, but he's like, make sure nobody bothers this, please. And the guy goes, sure. And then the guy was pretty wigged out. He was on something. So he rolled over and went to sleep. I'm like, this guy ain't protecting nothing, So we go in and I hear people, and them couple, they're awesome, but they have no fear. They're just going to go right into the depths of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like,
man.
I'm on edge a little bit, and we go down to the basement, and she is behind me, and Jeremiah was in front of me. And he goes in, and I pass through the door. Now she's passing through the door. She loses her mind, and she's filming, and she heard somebody talk. And right after that, it sounded like somebody took off running on the floor above us.
I think I remember this.
And on their video, you can plainly hear someone say, "We can get her real quick."
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I remember
after I heard that, I'm like, oh, I think we were being followed around in there.
Yeah.
So that made me a little nervous about places like that.
Sure. What's the channel called now?
Mads Entertainment.
Mad M-A-D-S?
M-A-D-D-Z, I think.
Okay.
Is that M-A-D-Z-Z or M-A-D-Z?
Okay.
Yeah. This was at night.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's in the middle of the night.
I believe I saw this one.
Yeah, that place is scary.
Yeah.
It's big,
It
big.
looked like
Virginia,
that.
huh?
Yeah.
It's in Staunton, Virginia. You can see it from the interstate.
Oh, that's very famous.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a famous place. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's an even larger facility that's now chain fenced off. You can't even get to it anymore.
Yeah, the
They
Holy
had
Grail, yeah.
like 40 buildings on it.
Oh.
It was a compound.
Wow.
I wish I could have filmed that, but I didn't get to.
Oh,
Yeah,
what was that one?
Just about to go there in South Carolina. And we
Yeah.
went to,
What was that called? I forgot.
I can't remember, but there was that big main, like a mental facility,
Yeah.
It was-
psychiatric ward. It was in South Carolina. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was heavily surveillanced.
Yeah.
We think they had radar or something because we drove up in there and within minutes.
The
police were there.
that
Oh, wow.
structure was so high, like giants. It was built for giants, you know.
Yeah.
Massive doors, and it was like ceilings 15 feet high or more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was really so.
They were
cool.
on top of it, and that we thought about maybe going back at night. Some people were just like, no, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, sometimes it's really, especially if the police has already been around once, they catch you again. That's when you're going to have trouble.
Yeah.
That's when you'll have legal issues.
Exactly. So you've done some paranormal stuff.
Yes, quite a bit.
And I saw somewhere at some point, I don't want to say there was some kind of, I don't want to say fight, but something happened where I think you were with someone and they were wanting to do more like faking kind of things.
Okay,
Can you go into that situation?
I can go into it pretty deeply. So, to a period of time, and I'm not going to say any channel names or throw anybody under the bus. I feel like if you're in the business of entertainment, do you? Right. But I have a deep fascination with like true paranormal research. What happens after life? I've had experiences I can't explain from when I was young. But I did get through a phase there where I was filming with some people who were very famous and very popular on the YouTube. Like I'm talking millions and millions of subscribers type people.
Right.
And they like to embellish quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I took part in some of that. And then some of the videos I have done, I wouldn't say that I've set up and staged anything, but I may have embellished early on. And I kind of fell into that pressure for a while.
Yeah.
But then there's an obvious moment when like I separate myself from certain people.
Right.
So, and that was my moral. It's not anything reflecting them as people. They're great people. That's why I don't want to like call them out.
Yeah.
They've always been good to me and I don't want to call them out. But, if you read between lines, you can see an obvious moment when I kind of detach and my content turns more not doors slamming or whatever, because other people would do things or set up things and I would kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like pulling strings and
things of that nature. And then I'm like, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
You do you be entertainment all you want. And I still try, I'll hear something and maybe I know what it is, but I try to leave my audience in charge of figuring out,
Yeah.
I feel like it's more engagement and more
like that.
opportunity for them. I'm like, well, what was that sound? And, some people might be like, you idiot, that was this.
Yeah.
That's a pop knocker, whatever it is.
There's a fine line between a little bit of a little bit of suspense, adding a little bit extra suspense to your videos,
Exactly.
for the entertainment, and just straight up, fooling your audience.
Yeah.
Because we've been some places and like doors slammed, and we kind of was like, we kind of freak out a little bit for that reaction.
Yeah.
But completely setting something up is I actually was watching that interaction. And I was like, that made me like you more. Honestly, I was like, okay, he's genuine.
Oh, you know what? I remember that deli that we went to in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He was telling me about it. Now it's a sinkhole.
Yeah.
You heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I was telling about that earlier before we got together.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, that made me even like appreciate your content more, that it's authentic. Because I think
Right.
you can get, because you talk about like from, YouTube pranks to all this stuff. A lot of the stuff you are seeing nowadays is staged.
It's fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake.
Most of it
A
is.
good
Most
chunk
of
of
it,
it
like, a
is
lot.
yeah.
And it's like one guy I had filmed with, and he's ridiculous, and I regret filming with him. I'll call him out. ImJayStation is his channel.
Yeah.
Super nice guy to me. But I spent, to me, his videos are obvious. It's not like some of these people who are like taking fishing line or bringing somebody with them. One person I will say his name's Moe Sargi because I don't like him. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
And he was a major jerk to me, so I don't care to say it. He posted a video where he forgot to edit out someone that was there supposed to slam a door. And then he takes the video down, re-release it, says someone hacked his channel. Obviously, full of crap. I mean, he still makes a ton of money. Like, he still does well, and that's good for him. I don't care that someone makes money, but man, he was just a jerk to me.
Yeah.
But JayStation, his content was ridiculous. Like, I bought this off the dark web, stuff like that. Those stupid, cheesy, that got millions of views.
Yeah.
And he made a lot of money. He became a millionaire from doing that. So, he was in Tennessee. We had interacted with each other. He rode around with me, and I took him to an actual true paranormal investigation, and it freaked him out a little bit, like truly. And we hit it off then, but then he invited me to come to Canada where he lives. And he's like, hey, I want to go on this little road trip, and I want to come to America. I'm going to rent out, what's that, Ohio Reformatory and a few of those really big places. I'm okay, yeah, let's do it. And I get there, and it was just a dumpster fire the entire time. And I see how he treats women and stuff, and I didn't agree with that. So, anyways, we try to come into America. It turns out he's got a warrant in America, and he's banned from the country. And so I'm stuck with this guy in an RV, and they look at me and go, "If you get caught back in America with him, they wouldn't let me in the country at that moment because I was with him."
Wow.
And so they're like, if we catch you with him in America, you'll be charged felony harboring an illegal person, alien, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so his next comment was like, "Let's fly in together." I'm like, "No, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
You fly on your own. I don't care, but I don't want to see you in America
That's crazy.
until you get this straight.
That's
do
amazing.
your legal process and fix it.
Yeah.
You got enough money."
Yeah.
But I'm not, and he got mad at me, and then that's the last we talked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way home from Canada.
Wow.
From Ontario.
Man, what a story that is.
So it was started out as like, oh, this is a pretty cool dude, and turned into it wasn't so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've openly already said this on my channel and everything that there was a point in time where maybe I went along with stuff I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Because you're with these really famous people,
Right.
who have a big following. It's going to be good for you, but the following people I got from that was not really the audience I wanted anyways. And I learned, as a big learning lesson for me doing this, is cultivate your own audience.
Yeah.
And
I like
don't worry about getting someone else's audience.
Yep.
Collaborate with people who are like-minded, do the similar content, and then it's fun to collaborate with people who have a large following and stuff, because you do get people from, I think our content lines up pretty well.
Yeah.
So people come from my channel, yours, your channel to mine. I think it mixes well.
Yeah.
But when you go to that extreme fake content to I'm a lot more laid back, let's go pull some equipment out, see what we hear.
Right.
It didn't really mesh, and people were like, this is boring, this sucks. I got a lot of that for a while. And then finally I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not for you guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
They're for you, and I'm not, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm completely fine with that being the case. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you made a book at one point.
Yes, I
And
did.
it was, what was the title of the book?
Clickbait.
Yeah, clickbait. So was that kind of what you were going into with that?
So the whole idea behind the book is I never really intended to write a book, but I wanted to make a movie. One of my dreams in life is to actually direct a movie.
Nice.
So I had this idea of these, being around some of these more famous content creators of kind of a group of content creators gone wrong. Because, there's a lot of underhandedness, backstabbing.
That's
and
interesting.
So like the whole premise of the book, to just summarize it, was, it was based on these 4 guys who was stealing content from like a lesser channel that never could really make it.
Yeah.
So they're stealing their ideas, making, and then they're getting all the credit for it while this person is being creative and coming up with this concept.
Wow.
So the person kind of loses their mind.
Yep.
And so like one by one, a video will pop up on these guys' channel, and it's just called clickbait, and it's of them getting, murdered by this
Unalived.
Unalived. Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong words. You can censor that or edit it.
Yeah.
Being unalived by this person, and it just continues on, and it kind of ends in a weird way. The book was more of a flop. Like, I didn't sell a ton of copies, but I was proud that I wrote a book.
That's
and
wild.
published it,
That is wild. Now, that
For
would
me,
be a
looking
good...
over it, I didn't go to read the whole thing, but me skimming through it, I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
I think
you.
that'd be a
It was really
great
good.
movie.
I do too, and that's why the whole reason I put it into a book is because I didn't have the resources or the time to make a movie now,
Right.
but I wanted to own that story.
Like
Yeah.
So I made a book out of it, so that story is mine. So
You got
whether I
copyright.
make a movie or if anybody else wants to make a movie, they got to pay me for it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
So
That's amazing. I
so
hope-
maybe someday that'll happen. And I had other story. Like, I like writing short stories,
yeah.
and so something I wanted to do is make short horror films. And it's something I may do in the future, but I'd love to do like these little horror shorts.
Nice.
Kind of take what these YouTubers are doing that's fake and just go the next level with it and actually make it like little short films that are terrifying.
Yeah.
And like do it the right way, I guess
Much
is what I'd say.
better, yeah.
Yep.
And not try to fool people into this is real. But I always, if you watch it and you have sense, it's real. You know what I mean? You can tell.
Yeah.
You can really tell. Like if you have a paranormal experience where something flies across the room or a door slams in your face or you hear a voice, like, and then it instantly cuts to walk around like, yo, bro, let me tell you,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
If something like that really happened and it was a paranormal experience,
Yeah.
you're not going instantly into, let's talk about what's for dinner,
Yeah.
No, you remember.
You're gonna remember that for the rest of your life because those real experiences do not happen.
Right.
Very
Yeah,
often.
you remember the video we did where what was it, a vulture?
Yeah.
So I was thinking of that when you mentioned
Yeah, we
it.
were in this mansion. You guys, if you haven't seen the video,
Mangles mansion.
Crazy.
it's this mansion in the middle of the woods. You had to walk to it. It's super sketch already.
Long driveway.
Long driveway. You're walking
Beautiful.
up tall grass.
Beautiful.
The whole 9 yards. You get into this mansion, and I had forgotten that we had filmed it before.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this vulture lived in the house.
Oh, that's
Right.
We're
fun.
in there. We're walking around exploring. We're hearing this.
At night.
It's
Yeah.
That hissing sound they make is
Yeah.
terrifying.
And you said
Terrifying.
you were scared when you saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in there, and Eric, the other guy that was with us, is like, dude, there's a bird in this tub, and he steps in there, and it jumps out. It starts flying.
We
in the
all
room.
screamed like crazy.
And
My dad.
it did. Yeah,
I
we all
screamed.
we all started
I
screaming.
thought it was
and-
like a Batman or something.
yeah, because it didn't look. You may not look that big when you're
Vampire.
but when it opened its wingspan, it took
Right.
up like the whole room.
Those birds are big.
It was huge.
It's like a vampire. That's
So,
what it was.
and I already had a fear of birds in the first place. So
So that's just
I'll
that's
book, you
great.
can see on video, I'll book it out of there and take out. And I kind of was like, I'm not going back in there right now. Like, they had to, like, really, really force me back in there.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. So,
and they'll
like
throw
you
up
said,
on you.
yeah, the smell was horrible.
And they
smelled
eat
terrible.
rotten food anyway,
yeah.
so
They
that's like
dead.
one of their defense things. They'll
And-
puke on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
side note, they tore that down.
Oh,
It's
no.
now a Subaru, and I think maybe a Starbucks
Oh, man.
is coming up there.
But-
My next question was, when are we going? But
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We went there like three or
It
four
is
times.
sad. At least we got it on film.
Right.
Yeah, I want to go watch that over again, just see it again.
And that's
Yeah,
a
I'd
lot
like
of
to
the
see
reason
that.
that we explore, I'm sure you as well, the prosperity reasons, because a lot of these places, they're there for a period. Now, some places they'll still be up, but there a good chunk of them, they're there for a period of time, and then
Right.
they're going to be at some point removed.
Yeah,
Just something else to
yeah.
look
you,
back.
you document that,
Exactly.
and,
Right.
and the stage that it's in, because these buildings had a purpose and were built And someone had a vision for these at one point.
Exactly.
And then for that to be gone and they're just left behind, you know, it's a matter of time before, you know, a new apartment complex, a restaurant, and, you know, a developer goes, oh, I like this property. Let's
Right.
swap that out
Right.
Yeah.
and build something new.
Yep.
And it's like a lot of, like, especially Victorian era houses are gone, especially
History,
where
yeah.
I live.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are my favorite style, those
Yeah,
Victorian
no doubt
with
about
the
it.
turrets, you know, the
Yeah.
little
Oh, yeah.
towers on them.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have very many left where I live because, you know, development. You know, they want to build a Target.
Yep.
So they wiped that mansion
Yeah.
out and built
We
a
need
Target.
another one. Yeah.
Yep. These apartment buildings too, they just can't make enough of them. It seems like in this area, so many of these places that are torn down are apartments.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what a lot of
We
places.
filmed a house right like
I just told them
1 mile
about it.
from
We
here.
were coming up.
right here, and now they're gonna make it apartments. So
It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's something else. What is kind of like now for like you for your channel, just for you know John, not even Expression Unknown. Like what is your goal right now? You said you wanted to make a movie, but like kind of like what's your goal I guess right now and then in the future?
Well, I hit a point with it, and a lot of people do, where it's like, you know, you get negative attention,
Mhm.
and then, you know, people take things too far.
Yeah.
And I hit a point where it was like, you know, I did it as a job for a while.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm really appreciative of that time, and sometimes I miss that. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
being able to just go travel and film, and that's my job. But it hit a point where it was like I had an opportunity, excuse me, and presented itself to me, and I decided I was going to step away. I actually intended to never do it again. Like
Oh,
I had
wow.
actually hit a point where I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Wow.
I've done all I can do. I don't want to do this right now.
yeah.
But I never closed the door. I almost did. I almost
Mhm.
just released. I even filmed it. I filmed this video where I'm talking about this is it, and I knew if I released that, I'd have to, you know, keep with my work.
Yeah,
Right.
So
Right.
in the back of my head, I'm like, just gonna wait. You know. So I went quiet for a few years, couple years.
Mhm.
Didn't release anything. Then I peppered a little here, a little there. You know, like, hey, I'm back at it. And now I do it with the mindset of I'm going to do this because it's fun
yeah,
and because I want to do it,
That's
not
it,
because
right.
I feel like I have to.
yes.
I made it a job,
Right.
and I made it not as fun. If that
yeah,
makes sense.
That's it.
Yep,
Yep.
yeah.
So, you know, I had to step away and really process, is this, you know, I love making content. I love getting out and exploring. So I had to figure that out. And then, you know, like I said, I had opportunities present themselves, and I focused my attention that way.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. But, you know, here this year, within the last year, I haven't released a ton, but I've started filming, and I'm doing it when I can.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm like now, you know, I hadn't released in a few months, but I went with my buddy Brian to Elkmont, made some videos there, and had a great time. Froze to death, but you know, it was
We
fun.
gotta go to Elkmont.
Yeah. Kate's Cove, actually, not Elkmont. We went to Kate's Cove.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm doing it because I enjoy it now,
Yeah.
not because I feel like I have to do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
so
important.
I'm grateful I didn't close the door on it completely, and that's probably how I'll continue to do it.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not going to make myself release every week anymore, and I've learned your core audience will always be there. You know, people will go away, but they're going to anyways. You know, people watch you, they lose interest, they move on.
Right. Right.
Subscriber count doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
true.
The time my YouTube channel, really the start of all of it is when my channel got hijacked. I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember that.
Yep. Yep.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
So what had happened was, and let me forewarn you, people were hateful to me about this, but I had two-factor authentication on. So,
Wow.
you know, you have to get that message to your phone.
Mhm.
So what had happened was I had actually reached out to a company called Movavi,
Mhm.
which is who I use as my editing software at the time.
Yeah.
And it's just by coincidence, or I don't know how, but I got an email, and it wasn't that it was a reply, but it was like, hey, we're Movavi, we want to work with you and do a sponsorship. Because I was at that time, and I was really making some money at this moment. Like I was really getting a good steamroll. I was about to have my first, I don't usually talk money, but it's going to be my first $10,000 a month.
Nice. Wow.
So I was like, heck yeah, this is good. And, I'm getting all these numbers. I'm starting to work on sponsorships for longevity. And I thought I was getting a reply from them, but it was spam.
Oh.
So when I opened that email and clicked their little link, it instantly opened a zip file.
Oh, man.
And I was like, something's not right here. So I closed that out, and then I just replied to the email and didn't get a response. I didn't realize what had happened, but they have a way that they can backdoor into your stuff and change all your credentials.
Oh, man.
So they backdoored into my YouTube channel. I get up the next morning, and of course, the addiction of let me check how my views are today.
Yep.
I pull my app up on my phone, and it's logged out.
Wow.
Still didn't click register at that moment. So I'm like, something ain't right. I couldn't get logged back in. I was like, I know my password. I'm trying to reset password. I'm just getting this error. So I'm like, I need to get on the desktop, get on the computer, and because you can do more.
Right.
And I go upstairs, and I'm just starting to. My wife comes into my studio room, and she goes, John, someone's live on your channel.
Oh.
Whoa.
I'm like, what? And she goes, someone's live. And I'm like, this isn't real. And I looked at some cryptocurrency scam.
Oh, my
And I sat and watched one by one as every video got deleted on my channel. And the name of my channel got changed. My profile picture got changed.
Goodness.
And I just felt like everything in my life just got ripped away from me. And just like that one instant, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I have no connections at YouTube. I don't have a number. I have nothing.
Yeah.
So my closest friend on YouTube is Jacob the Carpetbagger.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I call him, and I usually, my conversation, I always start with a text, but I call him. I'm like, Jacob, I got a problem. I don't know what to do. And he goes, and he's friends with a very controversial YouTuber, but, a very popular one, Boogie2988. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yep.
So he's like, well, let me ask Boogie. And Boogie reached out to me and put me in contact with his person at YouTube that he goes, when you get so big, you get a direct link to YouTube.
Yeah.
And he put me in contact with them, and they got my channel back.
Wow.
Wow.
And because of Boogie, I always credit, Boogie, of all people in the world, nowhere near the similar kind of content I do, but Boogie2988 helped me save my channel.
Wow.
But at that point on, when I look at I don't even look at numbers anymore because, I have 158-ish thousand subscribers, but about 1,700 of them get a notification now.
Yeah, man.
When I release a video.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
put that, so you can see how that kind of tanks my channel.
Yeah.
So like, I don't do it for the view count. I don't do it for anything like that anymore. I do it just because I enjoy it. If I get a lot of views, I tend to get decent views still, but not what it was.
Yeah.
At one point I was rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
But that kind of stifled it. And I've reached out to YouTube like, can we fix this? Because it was something in that process stopped everybody that was getting notifications from getting notifications.
Yep.
So,
Dang.
and it just, it killed my channel
Yeah.
in a way about, but it didn't kill what I do. And, it was part of me leaving it is like, okay, well, this isn't feasible anymore.
Yeah.
No, especially to do full time, especially I'm getting these opportunities ahead of me. So I moved on from it. But
Right.
now I'm doing it. It's the joy is kind of come back
Yes.
and doing it.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
so I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun and
Amen.
it'll do what it does.
Yep.
If I get another 1 million views on a video, great. If I don't get another 1,000 subscribers, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I've become at peace with that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. And that's why you got to do it. We did it just because we enjoyed doing it. And then it's a cool thing to record. And if it turns into something, great.
Yeah.
But doing it because you enjoy it is the reason to do anything. If you're not
Right.
enjoying the process and when it starts to feel like a job,
that's when it's not
done.
worth
That's
it
when
anymore.
You start,
Right.
And I'm not against people who do it. There's people who make a career and it's their job and they're good at it.
Yeah.
But like the whole reason, one of the things when I started, I was like, I need to move more. I'd hit a point in my life where I weighed the heaviest I'd ever weighed, which was 485 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm like, I need to get out.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my excuse to get out and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I really just enjoyed the art of making content.
Yeah.
But that's back with me now, and I have a lot of fun. I still have people who, I mean, there's subscribers who were comments on my first video, and they're still there.
We're still there.
Yeah, they're still there. They still comment.
That's great.
And that is the reason I really enjoy it. And, people I've had friends who passed away that were subscribers and content creators.
Wow.
And, one lady, she really was like, she managed my Facebook, my YouTube Facebook, and I closed it after that.
Wow.
She passed away.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, she was real sweet. And it was really a big deal for her to get to moderate my Facebook page,
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really like social media, so I have Instagram. That's about it.
Yeah.
And that's just so I can communicate with some people.
Right.
But yeah, when she passed away, I was just like, I'm just gonna archive that and go on.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, that's the thing, man, is to do it while you enjoy it.
Right. That's the key.
And I like what you guys do. Like it seems like you guys have a pretty cool bond with it.
Yeah,
and,
we do.
And it's like, gives you all something that it's like you do it together.
Yeah.
Right. It has your initials as the channel name. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are at the point now where kind of before the flood happened, it kind of opened up more stuff for us to explore. But we got to the point where we had kind of explored everything here. Yeah. And it was time to travel. Yeah. And as at that point, we all worked different schedules, jobs.
True. That's right.
We weren't making enough to just quit our jobs and to dedicate fully and travel. So that's kind of where at the point now where we're doing the podcast and as stuff comes up and as we can do different things is what we're going to do. Yeah. But we still enjoy it. And yeah, we still have plans to travel, to Tennessee and nearby places.
I want to get in that cave.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, we're going to get in that cave, boys.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch the video we recorded. I'll link it somewhere below where we did our exploration with him today.
Blaine, Tennessee.
And, he talks about this cave, and it's 2 miles deep. So
yeah, it's a deep cave. It's awesome.
And if you're scared of bats, don't go.
Yeah.
But
maybe one day we'll see a clickbait movie or something.
Maybe
Awesome.
it'd be cool.
Actually, I was thinking of doing the same thing myself. Horror, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
Do it.
But
yeah, I should before I pass
that
out.
pretty well covers it, man. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks for having me, boys. I really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this episode of the EJC show. That was Exploration Unknown, and we got a lot more coming to you. So like we always say, make sure you like,
comment,
and subscribe, guys. Thanks for listening and watching.
Peace.
They said.
That was great, guys.
That was really good.